Saqiba Sulman, and my specific field is software engineering. I have spent 12 years of extensive experience in the area of software engineering, and nowadays I'm managing the projects that is IT based. For any company, for any organization, the success is behind the successful project's delivery. So that is my core topic for the evening, and I will explore the best methodology we can deliver, we can use, we can adopt to deliver these successful projects. So before starting the details of this topic, I'll introduce myself. I'm living in Kuwait, and I'm here from last 8 years. I have spent 8 years in the area of academics, specifically for teaching the software engineering subjects. Then I shifted to the project management as an administration controller. And now I'm working as a project manager, leading the IT projects in the telecom sectors. I have faced throughout my experiences many labs, many gaps for successful projects, and which enhanced my experience, which add up to my knowledge, which area needs to be covered, which things needs to be add on for your successful objective. Any project is definitely behind some objectives, and if it is not planned well, it will definitely not delivered well. And there is no mean of any project if it is not delivered well. There are many impacts to your organization, to your competency, if you cannot able to deliver your dedicated project on time in a well-mannered and well-expected way. Now, every field project is not dedicated to the IT, I must say. Every field have their way to perform the task. So a unique task is definitely a project. And any unique task, we should have a proper planning. It should be executed in a very controlled environment. We will discover what are these proper frameworks which needs to be adopted, what methodologies needs to be adopted, so that this unique identified task can be delivered to the right person in a proper way, in a proper time, with a well-defined cost and budget. All factors needs to cover in a successful delivery. Let's dig into the details. The project, for me, project is defined as the unique task. It depends what length of this task is, but what unique output you require from anything is that project. If I have a defined set of things, and collectively I want something to a different output in a different manner, it's my new project. To perform this project, to perform this task, we need to have some methodology that must be adopted. It then results some good thing, some positive thing, and some successful delivery of that task. If this task is not functional at the appropriate time within a budget, it fails. So, what category of the projects we can say? In mechanical field, in a medical field, in an IT field, in oil and gas, all sectors of life have their own domain, and each domain have different tasks on daily basis. Timely, the tasks comes in your way, and you have to resolve this. So the things we need to resolve, the things which need some specific systematic solution, is your project. Project have a specified length, project has a specified time, and it has a specified budget. So these properties of the project should be very clear in the beginning. any task, any project we are talking about, we need to adopt a methodology. There are a lot of methodologies nowadays we can find, and this is depend on the organization need and the environment, which methodology suit best to your environment and your organization need. We have definitely one of the example I can take that there is a framework like Prince 2. There are framework like Project Management PMP and lots of other the Scrum over the Agile methodology and many more like this. We can adopt them to provide the best delivery to that specific task. But to apply these frameworks, definitely we must have some specific person. We must know the specific rules involved in this project, who have to adopt this methodology and what roles are assigned to each person who are dedicated to their defined task. So to adopt any methodology for performing the task, we must have the project understanding, we must have the defined roles, and which person have to do or which person have to perform what type of task. Again, if you have some delay in the streaming, I can repeat that project has a defined length, project has a defined budget, and project has a defined step of task, which needs to be organized based on some framework so that we can provide a successful delivery to these defined tasks. We must, to adopt any methodology, we must have some prerequisites, we must have some pre-readings to adopt these frameworks, and then we can apply the best practices from these readings and these frameworks. Why we need the project management? So that there should be a coordination, the proper coordination in all these subsets of your projects. Some projects are big, some projects are small, some are the medium. So based on the project size, we provide the sections, we organize it in some parts, and then assign these tasks to the defined person in the team, and then the project manager who can assign the tasks dedicated to these specified stakeholders. I will tell the framework, which is, you can say, the basic from all the current frameworks adopting by the different organization. I'll not specify to the Prince 2, I'll not specific to the PMP. I will just get the best practices which can make I can just tell you the basic and best practices which can make your project delivery successful, which can make your client satisfied. So in the end, okay. First, the project scope. It really is very important to start the organization of any project. Because project scope, if it is missed, if it is not so clear, it will definitely affect the whole timeline of the project, and definitely the task under each section will be affected if you are not clear about your scope. So first thing which needs to be cleared from the client side, the stakeholder, the business owner, he must clearly define the scope of the project. Means what are the business requirements. So you can say the first important thing in a project, successful project delivery is the start. In this beginning, it should be very transparent. What is the basic business requirement? So this baseline will enable you to lead the rest of the path and providing you the way clear to successfully deliver the project. So the scope, the start, the beginning of your project is definitely the business requirement from your client, from your business owner. If the business owner is not much clear about the scope, the rest of the path, you cannot say it's a straight. It will definitely have some loopholes which can destroy the successful delivery. Who is the business owner? This is the main question. Who has to define the scope? The person uh, who is sponsoring your project. One, the person who has to use your product. So both of them can be your business owner. Or it might be the case that the business owner, the sponsor is somebody else, and the users is somebody else domain. So sponsors may be different. So it's a project board who can decide, the decision board who can decide that what scope could be for that project. Is this be beneficial to the user, and is the project have some ROI, like return on investment. So during defining the scope, these elements can be considered, that either the project is returning the investment, some benefit is there or not. The scope is quite adaptable by the user. Is it fulfilling the current market needs? It's not outdated. So all these things, the requirement is analyzed by the business owner and the users, and then it comes to the suppliers. The suppliers are the team which is going to implement and develop this solution. So before coming it to the team of the development, the designers, the suppliers, the project is first discussed between the business owners, the users. They decide the scope. They decide its specific appropriate benefit. If it works, if it is approved by the board of directors or decisions, then it comes to the supplier, where the framework is applied to make it a successful. So now we are assuming that there is a specific business needs comes to the supplier. In this business document, all the basic requirements, the benefits over the project in the coming year after the investment, and is this usability is product, it is the usable, it is productive. These all analysis come into this business document, and it is delivered to the suppliers, the team who is responsible to develop this project. Now, once the business needs, the business requirements, the proper analysis over these business requirements, documented, analyzed, and approved by the owners, and it comes to the supplier, there it is. We need to apply the framework from the beginning till end to make these requirements successful, possible. Here, the analysis team first analyze the business requirements, that whatever is analyzed. Okay, till now, if I want to ask few things, that is this business document is enough to proceed the project? So what would be the answer? The business requirement document that comes from the business owners after their all the benefit analysis Is this enough to proceed the project implementation? This document? Yes or no? No, it's not. Because this is the business document from the owners. There is no any professional analysis over this document, no expert advice over this document that can validate that this business document is quite enough to proceed the things. Yeah, however, somebody who are quite expert, who are quite experienced, for example, business owner, they are experienced but not expert. Based on their number of projects, they can validate somehow, yeah, this project is 70% implementable and successful. But if the business owners are new in the team, yeah, if the business owners are new in the team, in the profession, they cannot judge they cannot forecast that this project is successful or not. Only the experience can make the person that much expert that they can validate this business document is quite enough and it's okay being successful to take into the next step. Normally any business document is not enough to validate the things are done positively or not. Once it comes to the team, once it comes to the team, it will move to the supplier teams who are responsible to implement this project. First and foremost thing is define the team structure. Once the business documents come to you and you are being selected as a supplier of this product, so the main thing from that company, that organization who is a supplier, then should make a team structure. The team structure is not only the project manager and the developers. The team structure is including all the organization leaders and all the stakeholders, including clients. So this team structure needs to be defined by the supplier organization. For me, the team structures is including board of directors, including the supply team, with starting from the project manager, task managers, design managers, development team, testing team, and then the deployment team, the client itself, the deployment site, the users, most importantly, and the framework. Who is responsible to validate the framework we will apply to deliver this project successfully? So after the business document comes from the business owners, the supplier team will create the team structure which can run the project throughout the project life. After deciding the team structure, now the project manager has the key role to deliver everything and dedicate the task to the rest of the team. Project manager is the one who drives the whole project. The main source of coordination, you must say, is the project manager to the board, decision board, and to the rest of the team, and the end product analysis. How are we as a team, like if I'm a project manager, how could I start analyzing this business document when it comes to my team structure? We'll analyze that what type of project is it, long term, short term. At what environment this project will run? What is the organization's environment where this project needs to execute? So it needs to be judged again. So projects comes in all shapes, size, and types. And a project manager needs to see all these factors and see how important it is. To understand this, we need to see the project environment, which can help to tailor our project. Organization has some portfolios. These portfolios can be checked to analyze the environment of any project, any organization which needs this project. Portfolios, what type of the programs? Either it's the in-house projects running in this organization or some outside programs are there. So to check this environment, we'll see the portfolios of any organization. What type of project is, we need to see that the software rollover, it is the hardware upgrade within the organization, or it is some upgradation of the system in an organization. If this upgradation, then what level of upgradation is required. So these nitty-gritties are required to check. Can you explain here at this level that organization can be judged by their portfolio or not? Is this enough? Maybe this organization is new and their portfolio don't have enough history to explain the organizational type, environment type where the project is required. No. So for that case, you will not understand the organization environment. You'll just understand what type of the project is required for this new organization. So this category will let us move forward. We'll check the type of the project required. If it is a simple hardware upgrade, it's okay. We'll not go into that detail. We'll just apply it as a debut project and we'll see that what are the impacts of this newly apply or upgradation of the hardware over there. How could you explain the hardware upgrade? I have a question that how will you explain the hardware upgrade? What is hardware operation in an organization? Just the network operation or what? I don't know. Yeah. Can you explain any hardware operation? Some are the intergovernment environments and they wanted to move to some thing which needs to be automatic, not manual. So maybe they need to upgrade their environment. They want their meeting system to be online, not manual. This is an upgradation. We'll install the network and we'll make the system live for them to make the online meetings. This is one of the examples. So this is just the hardware operation, the environmental change they want. And some projects need, there are many things that initiate a project. A project manager should need to understand or analyze that what thing instigate this project. What is the reason of this project come into being? If it is not clear, if it is not justified, the project may not be successful in the end. That's why we need to see the organization environment. We need to see the type of the project. What is the shape of the project? What is the role of the project? How it impacts user? So we need to see the reason and justify this project to come into the existence. Because if we cannot able to achieve these things, if we cannot able to get answers of these questions in the beginning, this project might not end up in the good shape. Again, Any question? It's not necessarily hardware upgradation means not the infrastructure. Infrastructure is not only meant by the hardware upgradation. Infrastructure could be the software also. So hardware upgradation, it's definitely related to the, for me as an IT, I can example you in an IT area is the network related upgradation. In any mechanical field, some plant needs to be upgraded. This is one of the example of the hardware installation or upgradation. Already there are some plants in a medical field and they want to upgrade with the new system. For example, there are new CT scan machine which are more upgraded. They want to replace it with the new, with the existing one. This is called hardware upgradation. So not the projects doesn't mean that it's only the software development. Projects can be one of them. One is, I give you example that hardware upgradation. So this could be the example of hardware upgradation. Anything which needs to be done and act properly in the end is the project. So hardware upgradation include these examples: installation of any plant, upgradation of any plant, upgradation of any network. These are any machinery in any area. For example, you want to replace the ATM with something new features. These are hardware upgradations. Anything else? Yes. So that we need to know these things, these factors for any project so that we can tailor the projects accordingly. And it makes the rest of the timeline of the project very easy to make it successful. Lots of framework as once it is clear what it is specified that this is very defined environment where the project is required. This is very clear what type of the project is. Either is a hardware upgradation, what specific hardware is need to upgrade, or if it is an upgrade of any system, implementation of any function, or implementation of any process, workflow, etc. If it is clear, now move ahead. So we are now into the validity of this project. Once the two things are done, yeah, the project is validated. The things which comes to any supplier is now clear. This is a valid project. Okay, go ahead. Now, the second thing is that after validating this project, we come to know that what framework needs to apply so that it should be executed in a controlled way and it delivered successfully. These two things that the project is delivered successfully. It's not sure thing, and we cannot be sure about the future. Yeah, we can be estimating the factors for the future. So to make that everything on the right track, we should apply a framework. And this framework is the combination of the PMP and the Prince2. Most of the organization nowadays are following the Prince2 framework. Prince2 project, they said that it's the temporary organization which is creating for the purpose of delivery of one or the more business product. So once we have the validated project, means we validated the business needs. Yeah, now the framework is gonna apply. What is the framework? Framework is the temporary organization that is created for the purpose of delivery of one or more business product. If I have one business requirement, I will organize the things temporary till the time of the project to make it deliver properly. To divide the project, what characteristic of any project has, I must know. Yeah, as per your question regarding the risk management metrics, these are the characteristic of any project. My next explanation is based on this. Yeah, this is one of the characteristic of the project, risk, how we could control it, and where we need to escalate it if it is out of the tolerance point. Because there are some tolerance point for any project, and if it is exceed, we need to escalate it. This risk management is definitely needs to be fixed, needs to be managed under consideration, but not here. We will definitely go step by step. Here we are reached here till now. We validated the business case. Yeah, it is a valid business requirement. The project where required the environment is this. We validate the environment of any organization where the project is required and the type of the project. Three things are till now analyzed. And now the project manager is quite satisfied that these things are validated. We have to apply the framework. Now for applying the in application of the framework, we will do these things, the risk management metrics, cost analysis, and all that. Based on the second question that Agile Scrum is the most frequent used method. Agile, nowadays people wants to see at every step. They can't wait till the end. If the project length is 2 years, if the project timeline is 2 years, nobody, no client, no business owner is waiting till 2 years. They definitely adopt the Agile Scrum methodology. They wanted to know after every fragment where the project is. And also the supplier adopting this Agile Scrum methodology. They wanted to validate, check everything with the business owners so that they can check that they are on the right track, the client is happy, it is appropriate to their level of expectations. So this is the reason that nowadays the Agile Scrum is adopting frequently because it is very transparent way framework. It's a very transparent. Whatever you are doing, it is validating sequentially. It's not that once the project is given to the supplier and supplier has after 2 years come back to the business owners and raise any surprise for them. Now, I'm going ahead. After validating everything, environment, project type, and the business document they received, we'll check that what are the characteristics. Basic analysis is starting now. Now the team, the expert people are heading together and they are starting their expert levels over these requirements and they are tailoring the project now. This is the beginning, you can say, for the plan. So to create a project plan, firstly, we should know what are the characteristics of any project. Now, as the expert, you are thinking as an expert. Before the business owner, they make the business document, which is just based on the experience, not the expert level. How the expert people can start their analysis, they should analyze the project's characteristic. There are 5 basic characteristics of any project. Number 1 is change. Any project, which any task is different. You can't say it's same. Every project is change, even if it is a developing of a home, exactly same design, same structure, but the location is different for sure. So this is one of the basic characteristic of any project, that there are change, they're different. Every project is different. Their needs are different. Second, it is temporary. Every project is temporary. They have a starting and end point. So every project is temporary. It's not a permanent thing. If it is a permanent, it is a service. It's not a project. Cross-functional, third. The project, it should be externally and internally, it should be applied. It's not that this project may benefit to some specific place. The project means it's known to all stakeholders and it may benefit all the inclusive stakeholders. Risk. When there are changes in it, as we know, that project includes the changes because they are unique. Every project is unique. It means there is some change involved in this unique task. So risk may involve in the project due to the changes required. So we need to look into the risks too when we are taking in an account that how to deliver a successful project. These things are come into the consideration. Again, change. The projects are changed. It needs to be deployed and fixed in some different places, not with the same environment. Not every time it is same. Temporary. It has a specific start and end duration. Cross-functional they are unique, and it includes the risk due to these changes involved in the project. Based on these characteristics, now the project manager is applying the framework. They start planning the project. The project needs to be planned. It should be delegated with an expert. It should be monitored properly, and it should be controlled properly. By knowing these characteristics and by applying this project management methodology, we can achieve the successful delivery. It's not about just to know these terms theoretically. Yeah, we should know and dig into the details what each term means and how it impacts at each stage of the project. Based on as per your question, how could we use the management methodology, how it suits or fits to our project features, experts, experience, knowledge areas of any organization of the supplier side can make them able to forecast the things. Before taking into account the framework selection, what judgment you have done, that what is the organization structure, what is the type of the project, what characteristics each project has, and how it impacts the environment of any organization. Based on that, you choose the framework. For example, I have a project which has the minimal risk. I can say I could adopt it. I can manage the project, I can delegate it, and I will monitor it throughout the phases and deliver. I cannot apply the control over this because I'm pretty sure that this project don't have any risk. If the project has risk, I will definitely involve in my plan what are the control steps I have to follow. So based on the characteristic of the project, based on the environment structure where the project is required, and what is the category of the project, these things makes you able to choose any perfect methodology. Second question is to choose an agile scrum from all the other availables. Make this question more clear. It's not so clear. What I get is that how to choose the agile scrum. It's not how to choose. It is in some situation you need to convince the business owners to choose this methodology. Some business owner don't want to interact with the supplier once they give the project. They just want a solution delivered on a specific time with the specified budget. That's it. It's the expert people who understand what are the risks involved, what can be the loopholes if you are not interacting with the business owner during the project lifetime. These factors, these expertise of the project manager, of the team involved, can help you to choose the agile scrum methodology. You convince your business owners to let them be interactive with you throughout the project life so that you can get this successful delivery of the project. What to monitor and what to control. For example, if I am choosing the framework based on the things that I should monitor because risk is involved, because risk risk is based on several factors. There are several aspects of the project that instigate risk, that escalate the risk. And if the risk is escalated, it needs some monitoring and control through to make it successful. What are these 6 factors? Cost, number one. We need to manage the budget. Time. Estimation date to the delivery of some task. So cost, time. These are the aspects that can raise the risk and that can require the monitoring and controlling of any project. Number 3 is the quality. Very important. We need to improve the quality. We need to determine only quality. If we are lagging over the quality, it's again a risk. It will not give you a successful project. Scope. The scope should be agreed scope, defined scope. If it is not being clear, or if you feel that the scope is because if you adopted agile, you are interacting with your business owners, they are keep increasing the scope even after the defined business document, it could definitely raise a risk for not improved quality. It will not give you a successful project. Benefits. Maybe all the factors are fine: cost, time, quality, scope. But does this benefit in the end after the delivery? So, again, we need these things to check. We need these things to be monitored throughout the lifetime of the project. It's not in the beginning only. You just maybe in the beginning you make a plan. You say this could be the risk factors. Currently, this is the status. And throughout the lifetime of the project, we keep monitoring these things. Next, based on these analysis, based on these factors, characteristics and few factors of any project, once we come into the put it into to the considerations, we'll define that how we break up our project and how we dedicate each breakup to a defined person and follow the good practices to make the project successful. Project management methodology and teamwork. Before applying these methodologies, we should be there are few prerequisites to apply it properly. And I'm discussing these prerequisites. If you want to apply the good practice, you must know what are the characteristics of any project. And if you know the characteristic of the project, you should know what are the aspects that should be monitored and controlled during the project lifetime. If you understand it properly, this could make your task easy. This can define a proper guideline for the good practice. If the person don't know how the scope impacts the delivery of the project, how the quality effects can impact the delivery of the project, then you may miss something during creating the good practice guidelines for any project. Why project fail? Okay, my question is that. Why projects are failed? Because there are a number of reasons of projects that are failed. Requirements not clearly defined. Roles are not defined clearly. There is a weak communication. The purpose is unclear. Poor commitment of any project manager and team, and the poor leadership. These all are the factors of projects that are failed. We need to avoid these reasons, so we are creating the base. These knowledge areas should be very clear. These factors, these properties of any projects are very clear. After this, any project manager can define the good practice to execute a project. Now I am in the state, for example, after the business document come to me, I analyze the environment of any organization. I check the type of the project. I check the properties of my project, and I check what factors can affect my project, which needs to be monitored throughout. Now I have equipped, I am, as a project manager, is equipped enough to create the guidelines for the good practice. Now we'll go step by step to create the project guidelines for any project. Any projects, we must define the principles for any project. This is the first step for the framework. Projects are clear, environments are clear, aspects, impacts, risk factors, we all analyze in a paper. Now we have rough work ready for us. Now I'm going to create the guidelines, the framework, which may make me able to make my project successful. You can say it's a project plan. The first thing, based on this knowledge, I'm creating the plan. First thing in the plan is principles. I need to define the project principles. First principle I defined that yes, this raw material comes to me. This project has this principle first, that continuous business justification. Yani, I created this project, I validated this project, I said approved. This is okay, it's related to some valid domain. This is a valid project, but no, this is not the end. This validation should be continued till the end of the project. This is first principle of the successful project, that the project is validated throughout the business life, project life cycle. In the middle of the project, if I felt that there is no business point of view with this project, there is no return on investment of this project, I must escalate, I must stop, and I must check what are the reasons behind this. If I found that there is no business, there is no ROI over this project. So first principle to continue the project is the project should be justified throughout the life cycle. If it is validated, it should be continuously validated. It should not I should not feel in the middle of the project this project don't have any benefit in the end. Second principle, which is very important, every project is new project, right? I must I must report my experience, learning experience of this project in a report book separately because it will help me in the future projects. So I can plan this. The second principle is I must note all the new things in this project in a report book. I should define the role. Number three, I should define the role and responsibility of this project. What does you mean by the role and responsibility? I should build a team. Who are the business owners? Who are the users? Who are the suppliers? And in the suppliers, who are the project managers? Who are the designers? Who are the developers? Who are the deployers, testers? So the third principle is I should define the roles and their responsibilities. Each role, name it, what task each person has to do, define it in the beginning. This is what you are planning for executing your project. Number four, the project should be managed by stages, by fragmentations. It is impossible to decide everything in advance. So therefore, the project must have some stages. Initial stage and the rest of stages. I can't say that this is my project, this is the output, and it's okay. No. I divide my project in the stages. What things are required in the project, I will break it. You can say it's a work breakdown structure. You can break the project in number of pieces and start with the first piece and start planning with this first initial piece of the project. You can't plan everything in the beginning of the project. This planning piece is for the first piece of the project. You break it. Exceptions. Do you have any idea of the exceptions? The fifth thing in this principle we need to consider is the exception. Any idea for the exception? Exceptions are the things which are unknown, which are not planned and come into the existence. We don't need to micromanage our project to avoid these things. The exceptions will raise. How? The project project manager duty is what? He somehow manage the stages activity in the project. It doesn't come back to the business owner every time. The CN boards every time. The project manager will manage these activities. So there are few tolerance points needs to be decided in the beginning that at this level a project manager will manage the things. Once the things are exceeding to the tolerance level, then the exception needs to be raised. For example, if a project is losing the profit by 2%, this is fine. The project manager can handle it. But if the project is losing a benefit by 10%, it needs to be escalated to the business owners so that it can come into the consideration of their expected result. So the tolerance points needs to be defined in the plan for any stage. And once the tolerance point is exceed, there should be an exception. And what exceptions needs to document in this plan? Once we tolerance level are defined for each level of the management, there are level of managements also, not only the project stages, means this tolerance till the project manager, this tolerance till the decision board, this tolerance point is for the whole stakeholders. So we need to define the tolerance points with the level of management. What are the design controls over this? If this tolerance point exceeds and we need to escalate the exception, what are the controls designed for this exception? What needs to be established? What activities needs to do? So in the end, we can say the last thing for the principle is focus on the product. It's not only making the team, it's not only focusing on the risk factors, it's not only exceptions, raise, how, when, what, about what. We need to focus on the product in the end. If we are making a plan, the plan is based on what needs to be delivered in the end. Whatever is in between we face, whatever in between we design and control and do whatever to apply the best practice. But in the end, what needs to be delivered? So we should focus on our product and the quality of the product. It should meet what we need to do. It should meet what exactly the client is required to get, what user wants to use. So product-based planning should be our initial focus. So these 7 principles, if you are following, means you are giving a product which is successfully delivered to the end user. The 7 factors, the 7 principles for any project will make your product deliver successfully. I will repeat it again. Once the business requirement come to you, the business requirements comes to you, the expert will analyze these requirements are valid or not. To validate the business requirements, they will check the organization structure, environment, and then the type of the project. Once these 2 things are defined and validated, the expert, the suppliers who are responsible to deliver the product, they will check that how this project is validated. They will check and apply their basic expert levels, and based on their expert levels, they will check the project characteristics, risk factors, the factors which impact the delivery. The 7 principles which I defined for the good practices will give you the successful delivery of the project. You should know the reason of the project failures, and based on them, you should be first, continually your project should be justified till the end. You should learn your experiences, note it down. You should define the roles and responsibility of each person involved in the project. You should manage the project by stages. You should manage your exceptions. And finally, your product should be your plan should be focused on the product, what needs to be delivered. These 7 principles can make you successful project manager. You can deliver your product successfully if you are following these basic principles. These are the best guidelines for the project delivery in a successful manner. This is what I have learned throughout my experience, and yes, it is worthwhile. It is the guideline for the good practice for giving a right product at right time, right cost, best quality within the defined scope. Thank you. Any question? Your questions are welcome. For any further queries, you may note down my email, Saqiba Sulman, SAQIBA @gmail.com. Again, for further queries and any assistance regarding the project management methodology, you can email me. I'm repeating my email, SAQIBA gmail.com. Your queries are welcome, and any input, you're welcome on my email. Thank you.